What's up? I'm sorry. That was a little intense. Welcome to 15 Minutes with Fuzz. My name is Fuzz Martin, and this is my show. Here we dig into positive things happening in and around Washington County, Wisconsin. So this past week, I presented at the West Bend Sunrise Rotary meeting, and while I was wrapping up, I told the group that the hardest part about creating 15 Minutes with Fuzz is finding out who I should be talking to next. That's the biggest part. Interviewing, easy. Editing, awesome. I love it. It's so much fun. Doing this part, it's great. Finding people to talk to, that's the hard part because I need to do research and dig in. And what I feed off of is input from listeners like you. So if you ever have an idea for the show, please send it my way, 15withfuzz@gmail.com. Now, the group at the West Bend Sunrise Rotary did not let me down. I now have a number of great guests that will be coming up here in future weeks, okay? This week, my guest is Alderman Justice Madl. Madl is the alderman in West Bend 7th District, which is Barton, and he's also the owner of Do Your Hair Justice Hair Salon in Barton. And he and the Historic Barton Business Association recently completed the Barton Garten, and they're always working to improve the Barton area. So with that, here are 15 Minutes with Alderman Justice Madl on 15 Minutes with Fuzz. Alderman Madl, thanks for joining me today. So you're an alderman in West Bend 7th District, which is Barton, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But you also own a salon. So can you tell us a bit about your business, how you got started, and about that?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for the question, Fuzz. I started the business up in Barton about 11 years ago. You know, it was a little bit of a slow start, but we've really got the ball rolling within the last couple of years. For some reason, the pandemic really kicked things into gear. Okay. I'm independent up there. I'm by myself. So okay. I think people were just more comfortable coming into the shop when there wasn't anybody else around.
Oh,
so,
sure.
So that really got me moving.
So do you do both men and women? Or?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yep.
And so could you work with this here?
Of course.
Perfect.
Yeah, we could do good things there.
Being an alderman in Barton, what made you decide to run for alderman?
The business community in Barton wasn't completely satisfied with the representation that we had.
Okay.
And it's kind of ironic because it's really not the businesses of Barton that are Barton voters. That's not really the constituency. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But that was the catalyst. And so when the next aldermanic election came up, I went ahead and put some signs out and got a hold of a buddy of mine who's in marketing and ran a first campaign, and fortunately it went really well. I won by 13 votes. So
oh, nice.
Did exact right amount of work.
Perfect. Yeah, not too much, not too little.
That's right.
How long have you been an alderman now?
4 years. 4 years. Just a little over 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah. It was my third election was this past April, and I was uncontested.
Okay. All right. So a 2-year term on that.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So you're the president of the Historic Barton Business Association. Can you tell us about the organization and what that organization is responsible for?
The organization, is the Historic Barton Business Association, and we did start up right about the same time my salon opened, actually. And
okay.
I found the group pretty quickly after they got going. Deb Anderson actually was the person that got that moving again. She's a former alderman of District 7. And it was, again, with that slow moving at first, but we had a really strong membership right from the start. When I say slow moving, we weren't immediately sure what our mission was, but it slowly started to form. And basically, it's to shine a light on Barton, you know, because Barton has been sort of in a shadow for many, many years, ever since it was annexed into West Bend. And so we're trying to create a better business community, a better community to live in, better community to play in, you know, a more beautiful community. And so it has sort of over the years morphed mainly into really making it a more attractive part of West Bend. It's felt for many, many years like it's been neglected. So
sure. And it was annexed back in the 1960s, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So it's been a good 50 years before the Historic Barton Business Association was formed, before a group really took hold of that?
Well, I don't want to represent it that way because there was an organization, and I'm sorry, I don't know what the organization was called, but there was an organization that was started up and tried doing things, and it just sort of fell apart.
Sure.
As these kinds of organizations also.
Yeah, certainly. And that's where it goes to needing people in the community to care for and to keep these things going? Because it is a lot of hard work, right?
It's a lot of hard work, and obviously it's volunteer based. Nobody's getting paid, obviously, and you really do need a few core people that really have passion and energy, and frankly, some time to put into it.
Yeah, definitely. Having you on the show was a recommendation from a number of different people that were here in the city of West Bend that recommended that I speak with you because of the things that you're doing to help improve the Barton area. So
Sure.
Let's start with the Barton Garten. What is that? Am I pronouncing it right?
That's correct. Yes. It's supposed to be a German spin on it.
Sure.
Obviously we're a very German area. So
Absolutely.
yeah, Barton Garten was a garden that existed for a number of years and was maintained by master gardeners up until, I'm just going to guess here, up until 10 or 15 years ago.
Okay.
And then it was just kind of left without care for a number of years. It was, I think the folks that were taking care of it just kind of aged out. It was
Sure,
a group of older ladies that was managing it, and they just didn't have the energy or the time or the willingness to do it anymore. So we saw this patch of weeds that basically the city was mowing around, which I don't, it's not, it wasn't up to the city to maintain it, so I don't blame the city at all. But, so there was some flowers in there. It was still some semblance of a garden, but it was very, very unattractive. So Barton Business Association, we kind of just look around Barton and see where the issues are and try to solve them, right? We picked up the garden issue and sort of ran with it. I mean, it turned into a lot more work than we expected. I spent a lot of time last year building steps into the side of the hill that goes up to the garden. The city came in and poured concrete platforms. It was really nice of them. They did a great job. And I built a rock wall behind the platform that creates kind of a raised flower garden effect. And then there's a couple of the most expensive benches the Parks and Recs program has. And those benches were donated by Rotary, for one.
Okay.
And the Holbrook family up in Barton that owns the Jokers.
Sure, yeah.
Diane Holbrook was the person I was talking to. Kay Holbrook owns the bar. And Kay Holbrook's son, Mason, a lot of people in the community are familiar with this name, Mason Holbrook. He was a young man that passed away from a heart condition a few years back. And so it's a memorial bench for Mason Holbrook.
Where in Barton is this? Is right off the Eisenbahn Trail, right?
Right off the Eisenbahn, right at the intersection of the Eisenbahn and Barton Avenue.
The project itself just came, as you were saying, for the Barton Business Association. You were looking for things to improve and decided to tackle that. How will people use the garden now that it's up and built?
It's meant to be a resting point for weary travelers on the Eisenbahn.
Sure.
It faces the historic Barton Mill.
Okay.
It's a beautiful scene. You can see the river. You can see the mill. You can have conversation with folks walking by in the Eisenbahn. And, of course, it's going to be just a wonderful place to sit and enjoy the flowers. Because it is jam-packed this year. I don't know if we've got 20 or 30 flats of flowers planted up there along with the existing perennials. But if it's not already, it's going to be in the next few weeks a really beautiful site.
Excellent. And a couple of weeks prior to us recording this episode, you guys had a dedication event. What went into that event?
Well, we had food and we had music. Gary Cross was our entertainer. Some of the older folks in your audience are going to recognize that name. Yep. And we had the mayor came and did a proclamation. It was just a lot of fun. It was very well attended.
Great.
We also had a hot tub raffle.
Oh, nice.
I cannot remember the name of the guy that won the hot tub, but someone won the hot tub raffle.
Excellent. Somebody's enjoying that right now.
That's correct.
Or because it's so hot out, just don't make it hot and just leave it as a cool tub.
Right, a cold tub, yes.
I'm sure more people than you were out there busting their backs, putting in steps and working on things. Who was all involved with getting the Barton Garten put together?
Of course. Yeah, thank you for asking that. Roots and Branches is really the main folks that we partnered up with here, but I would also definitely have to say the city and specifically the Parks and Recs program. Also, to be more specific with Roots and Branches, Amy Johnson is the president. She was very open to the idea of partnering with us, which was really important because then she handed us Susan Steinhoffel as if she's a commodity, but she really is. I mean, she's helped us out a lot. She came up with the design idea for the garden. She comes out there. She orders all the flowers.
Oh, great.
Roots and Branches donates most of them. The HBBA has some budget for the garden, but a lot of it is just due to community effort. And so we get all those flowers, and she takes them out out and puts them right where they need to be planted. We've got a lovely group of volunteers. I'm really sorry I can't remember the church they come from, but you're out there, you know who you are, and we really appreciate you.
Oh, that's excellent. And it's good to have that thing in the community that everybody had a hand in participating to help build, and every time they see it, they know that they were part of that.
Absolutely agreed.
Now, the association also has some things to do with, well, first of all, coming up the 4th of July at Regner Park, right?
Sure. Correct. Yep.
So what are you guys doing there?
Well, we started the tumbling group. Jackie Maynard and the tumbling group had been managing that concessions at Regner Park after the parade for years.
Okay.
It had been 20 years. So she handed it off to us. We had our inaugural Regner concessions last year, and now we're getting ready to enjoy another year of doing that. We get hammered, the parade finishes, and we just get a huge rush of people come over, and obviously it's a bunch of hungry parade goers, and so we're 5 or 6 deep for 2 or 3 hours. It's amazing. It's a lot of fun.
So I'm the president of the 9/11 Memorial in Kewaskum.
Oh, sure.
And we just had the Kewaskum 125th celebration.
Oh, nice.
And we had the privilege of, and it was great, and I appreciate everybody that came, but we were running a brat fry stand right at the end of the parade, and the Wisconsin Badgers band played right there afterward.
You got your butt
and
kicked,
we got slammed. Yeah. But we sold out of brats.
I'm sure you did.
Helped raise $1,500 for the memorial. So thank you to everybody who bought a brat.
That's awesome.
But I know how much work that can be when you're running around trying to fill those orders when you don't do it for a living. So in addition, the Historic Barton Business Association also has something to do with the Christmas lights, right?
Correct. The Christmas lights in Barton.
Okay.
So when you hit Park Avenue going up Main Street into Barton, that is right where our Christmas decorations start. There's a couple of huge wreaths on the first main pole that's in the middle of the street, and then there are large metal ornaments on the light poles going up Main Street to Barton Avenue, and then there's sprays that were donated by the Bid downtown, along with a bunch of other stuff. They were amazing. Thank you very much, Downtown Bid. From Barton Avenue on North Main out to approximately MPTC, those sprays exist, and Friends of Parks last year donated a large sum of money to help us put new bows on those sprays. Thank you very much, Friends of Parks. And then there is a number of really old ornaments that go up on the light poles from North Main all the way up, to Salisbury on Barton Avenue, and those are also lit up, and there's plugs on the poles, so those are really pretty. And then there's 3 Christmas trees that are lit up at the Firefighters Memorial Park, which we also designated, and then there's another Christmas tree that's lit up down right in the middle of Barton Garten, actually.
Sure.
And then I think there's 6 of the large, I don't know if they're crab trees or what those things are, but they're big, full-looking trees that are completely lit up with white lights, and it's just beautiful during Christmas.
That's excellent.
It's amazing.
And so does the HBBA put the lights in, or does the city put those in? No.
HBBA. Well, I don't want to overstate things, because the city, the last couple of years, since we've had representation at the city that's been involved with Barton, the last few years, the city has either donated some time or just brought up a cherry picker truck to help us get those things up. So
great.
Again, there's a couple of volunteers with the HPBA that are really consistent in doing that every year, and we really appreciate them.
So you've built the Barton Garten. What is next for the HBBA, and what are you guys looking to improve next?
That's a great question, and I appreciate the question. And I was thinking about that, and we've got a list. I'm feeling like we don't have a strong next project established yet, but we do want to get flower baskets that wrap around the light poles on Barton Avenue, and some maybe freestanding ones that could go on North Main. So more flowers.
Sure.
There's some signage stuff that we've been talking about. We'd like to see some coming into West Bend. Welcome to West Bend /Barton signs, that have the Rotary symbols and Kiwanis and all that stuff. There's a couple of entry points to West Bend in our area that are lacking that. And really just to continue putting on fun events for the community and continue to do everything we can to make Barton a more beautiful, enjoyable place to live and work.
I know it's a lot of hard work doing this and helping to improve your community and owning a business and making sure that you're keeping the lights on and doing all that and having enough time to run your business as well. So appreciate you doing what you do to improve Barton. I wish you guys the best with the next steps.
Thank you so much, Fuzz.
Thanks for coming on. Thanks again to Alderman Justice Madl for joining me on this week's show. Be sure to visit the Barton Garten. Next time you're out for a ride on the Eisenbahn Trail or walking, whatever you're doing, it's a beautiful place. Stop on by. And that'll do it for today's episode. Next week, we talk about German Night and Regner Fest in West Bend. You can learn more about the show at 15withfuzz.com or check my socials. 15withfuzz is the handle on all of them. And by socials, I mean Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And thank you for listening and sharing the show with your friends. It keeps the show going and makes me feel like what I'm doing is worth it. It is. This is always really fun to me. So thank you again for listening. I truly appreciate it. And we'll talk to you next week right here on 15 Minutes with Fuzz.